Oh my goodness gracious, another week's gone by. I'm back in Texas and it is hot here. Has your management team mentioned anything about heat stress or heat stroke to you? If not, you ought to bring it up. Maybe at your next startup meeting. Help everyone remember to stay hydrated. That doesn't mean those adult beverages or energy drinks. Even too much Gatorade isn't as good for us as that good old-fashioned water. Drink it. We need it. I'd like to talk about a short video that I'd seen. It was making its way around Facebook and Instagram this week about an order selector that, I think he was coasting and, messing with his labels actually, but the caption was that he had fallen asleep. Anyway, his pallet jack cruised into a crossbar right at the upright, and that hit all by itself caused the entire aisle and a couple of others to come down. Just watching something like that makes me sick. Luckily, I've never been around or been involved in anything like that when it was happening. But it really happens every day. We know how dangerous what we do can be. But I don't think we realize how little of an incident can have such a catastrophic result. We've seen so many videos. Even during our training, we watch as the unthinkable happens. But then we'll cut an end cap too short and hit the upright. Or we'll scoot way over right up against the crossbars, trying to save those 4 seconds and clip a cant post. Or maybe that upright footing, shearing off the bolts. Now, it's hard to stay focused for our full shift. But that's what, kind of separates us, the professionals, from the new boots, right? And it's our jobs as the pros to help educate and teach our new guys and gals. Why do we get stuck on that last part? Someone taught us, how do you say it? What do you say? Oh, passing it forward. We should all pass it forward. Our racking is called structural steel. It is holding tens of thousands of tons of product in our warehouses. Our uprights are bolted to the floor. Generally, our flumes or back bays are bolted to the adjacent crossbars too. Our end caps may have guard boots bolted around them. Those things can take a licking. We know not to hit them, not to crash into them, to be careful around them as order selectors, and yet, look at how scratched up those boot guards are, those ballard posts are. Shoot, we may have knocked off all the orange on our second level crossbars with our freight guards, that's on our double and triple jacks. Just trying to squeeze by right up against the aisle rack. We've touched stuff. Why else would all that paint be missing from our jacks? And us forklift drivers, we learn and know to respect the heights that we work with. We have to make sure we've placed that pallet on the 6th level properly, and then come out of it without pressure on the bottom bar so as we don't pull on the rack and all that weight forward with us. Has anybody ever caught their freight guard on the inside of a crossbar? That's a scary feeling. I'm ashamed to say I've done it a lot more than once, working in a high cube bin slot. And I guess it's just experience. Luckily, I've felt it through the controls and stopped every time. But yep, I did throw some paint. It's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen to all of us eventually. The little scrapes and paint chips, if they damage our egos and our pride, will be very few though, if we respect our jobs. I think I've mentioned a great friend of mine named Francisco. He just retired after 33 years on a set down and then the reach lift. He, on his own, purchased some Raymond orange and black paint and always touched up his equipment every Friday. I know he had those cans for years. I bet he never used up a whole can. He was a very careful driver, but he was prepared for the little things. The moral to the thought is we know we've been taught, and for the most part, we're all always careful, but we all need to up our game. Please be responsible and be professional and help a new boot out. We know the dangers of the rack that we work around. Let's all respect them. As you can tell, that one video reminded me to respect our profession. So last week when I ran into Philip, I got sidetracked on a topic that I wanted to touch on, and I've briefly mentioned it a couple of times already today. A few weeks ago, I was developing a training program for an unloader trainer position. This was a very detailed program for a lumping company that utilized trainers to help train new unloaders to our industry. I was speaking with a couple of different crews. One had been together for the most part for like 9 years. That's a long time for a crew to stay together. Talk about being a professional. Anyway, they balked at the idea of a trainer on their shift. They all felt like training others was just a part of their job. They figured who else could be better to teach them, how they all work together than themselves. They had absolutely no interest in a trainer on their shift. They told me to give them the observation sheets, the check-off procedure reports, and anything else, document-wise, and they could get it filled out and turned in and their new boots trained. Then on the other hand, a much younger crew, a very stable shift, but the guys had been working together for a little less than 2 years. They did not hesitate to tell me, explain to me what all the trainer needed to be doing for them. They did not want a new boot in the trailer with them, and they did not feel like it was their responsibility to train anyone. I heard more than once that I'm not getting paid for that. And now in many instances that could be a little bit true. In certain pay-by-the-case scenarios, there could be an additional pay component, but it may not really cover all the time that we're going to invest training someone. Even with the new boot not affecting their pay or their time in any way, they were not going to be interested in training. I, of course, brought up that someone had taught them and asked if they had a dedicated trainer working with them when they first got started. The answer was no. They had all worked with the buddy system or a mentor program, but not one of them had the interest in any form or fashion of helping a new guy now. Kind of puzzling, right? Oh, and I want to mention this too. I was speaking with a new hire, a sanitation lady, about 2 weeks ago. She had started and stated that she was trained, but felt like, as she put it, she had been a burden to her peers and even the lead person that had to train her. She loved her job, though, and was committed to making it work and to do a great job. What do y'all think? Do us as employees hold any responsibility in training the new hires? What do you do at your facility? Share your thoughts with us at host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com. Maybe we can bring on a director or VP of ops and get an idea of where the industry is heading regarding training. Oh, I want to go over one other thing just real quick. Across the states that I deal with, I'm seeing things begin to pick up. Even with some states slowing down or backing up regarding opening up, our industries, manufacturing, production, and distribution are steadily bringing people back. I heard from one good friend that he'd been laid off for 2 months and got called back, but was very unhappy that all the overtime, which used to be a part of the job, had gone away. I explained to him it may never come back. I think we all need to take those jobs when we get the call, or if we come across a place that is hiring. Things are going to get better. Things are going to even be better than before, or I think so anyway. But they're not right now. As things pick up, people are going to take those jobs. Be out, in front of the pack. Be one that is working. I think, I know it's going to be better in the long run. I was asked this week if our resumes should be updated to reflect, that we'd been laid off for the last 2 or 3 months. I checked with several different recruiters, and the general consensus was absolutely put it on there. One of the things they all mentioned was to be sure and share with your hiring agent if you'd be willing to learn a new task or a different industry. They all felt like movement within the industry is going to be the next big thing. The more tasks or trades we know, the better positioned that we're going to be. You ought to check out some of the conversations on our feeds using that little @ WHSEANDOPS, or the Facebook Warehouse Equipment Operators community too. I'm excited about all the opportunities we're about to see. I think our personal and professional goals are going to be reached for 2020. Yes, we've had to readjust a couple of times, but not only is the economy going to boom, our lives are going to boom as well. And I mean boom in a great way. Until next week, be safe and help out a peer or a new boot. If nothing else, I think karma will recognize it.